Thank you, Nikhil. Hari Om, Swamiji, pranams.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone. If you all can turn your videos on, that would be very much appreciated. It just helps us connect better while we are doing this interview. We'll start with a short prayer, then get started. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. समस्तजन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Hari Om, Swamiji. This is an informal satsang with Swamiji. We have some questions that we want to ask. I personally want to learn from Swamiji, and so is everybody else over here. And towards the end, we'll open up for everybody to ask if there are any questions. So please note them down. Swamiji, the first question we have is, what was Swamiji's journey like to come on this spiritual path? What was Swamiji's inspiration, and how has Puja Gurudev touched Swamiji's life?
Okay. Humble prostrations to one and all present here. Is the audio clear? Okay. So my journey started after I finished my engineering college. So I did my engineering from Kerala. In Kerala, you don't get any job. You get only education. So all of us, what we do is from Kerala, we go to Bangalore. That was the IT hub at that time. So all my friends, along with them, I also went to Bangalore. Then got a job in one engineering college. So job in an engineering college is a wonderful, 9 to 4 job, all holidays you get, vacations you get, exam time is a holiday, national holidays. And in India, every other day is some festival. So Bhagavan put me in such a place where I had enough time. So after 4 p.m. in the evening, I was literally free. So then in the evening, sometimes we used to take a walk around along with my friends. I had 2 roommates. So as we were walking, it so happened that Chinmaya Mission Center happened to be just 5 minutes walkable distance from my residence in Indiranagar. And that center used to be the headquarter of Karnataka Chinmaya Mission and a very, very active center. Every other month, we used to have a lot of talks, pujas, festivals, and a lot of celebration. A very buzzing center. So then I was taking just a walk along with my friends, and then I saw this banner, talks on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12. I thought, let me just enter and see what is. So our Puja Swami Mitranji was handling the talk. So this was in 2001 May. So then I liked the talk. So after 7 days, I inquired. And they said, yes, for youngsters, we have Chinmaya Yuva Kendra. So then I became a part. So Sunday, 7:30 a.m. the class would start, 7:30 to 9. And after the class, we had free breakfast also. That was an added attraction for us. So you don't have to cook anything. So 7:30, we used to attend the class, have breakfast, and then go back. So slowly, I came in touch with, all these classes, activities, etc. So there, Puja Swami Brahmananji was the resident Acharya there. Swamiji was very famous and elderly person also. So over a period of time, I had this good fortune of coming close to Swamiji, involved in all activities. So 2001 December, there was this Vishwa Sammelan, 50 years of celebrating Chinmaya movement. I was not able to go there, but interestingly, at that time, I came across 10 cassettes of Puja Gurudev on this chapter called Karma Yoga. So that was my first exposure to Puja Gurudev. It was such an inspiring cassette. And those were the cassette days, not even CD days. So thus I slowly became more and more active in Chinmaya Yoga Kendra, and then finally 2005 I joined this Vedanta course. So this in brief is my entry into Chinmaya Mission.
Thank you, Swamiji. Very inspiring to hear how Swamiji's journey has been, and also inspiration from Puja Swami Brahmananji and others. Swamiji, when we think about Gurudev, one thing that comes to our mind is he was a visionary par excellence who thought about different age groups, different groups, and he chalked out a plan for spiritual growth for all of us. According to Swamiji, for Yuva Kendra in particular, what are some unique aspects that Puja Gurudev has envisioned for Yuva Kendra?
See, yuvaks, or what we call youngsters, they have a unique combination. As far as small children are concerned, they have energy but no ability to think. As far as elderly people are concerned, they have the ability to think but no energy. Youngsters are the people who have the energy also and the ability to think also. This is a unique characteristic of this age. We have the ability to think, and also we have the energy to implement whatever we think right. So therefore, Puja Gurudev had a special place for this Yuva Kendra, yuvaks, youngsters. So in fact, I myself, I was never exposed to Balavihar. I was directly exposed to Yuva Kendra only. I would consider Yuva Kendra as a right place for what you call entering into spirituality, because see, youngsters are the people are who are yet to face the challenges of life, trials and tribulations of life, problems of life. So that is a time when we should be exposed to the right knowledge of the scriptures. See, when do you gather weapons? Before the war or after the war? It's always before the war, isn't it? So youngsters are the people who are yet to face a real life, real challenging situation. So at that time, when we get the right understanding about the scriptures, right knowledge of how to live life, you see, our scriptures are called manual of right living. So this world is a very complicated world. Body is complicated, mind is complicated, intellect is complicated, world is complicated, everything is complicated. And in this complicated world, we are asked to apply complicated body and complicated mind. So therefore, guidance is absolutely essential. And this guidance cannot come from some Tom, Dick, and Harry. It has to come from the Lord alone, who has created the world, who has created each one of us. And this guidance comes in the form of scriptures. So, Yuva Kendra is the right place where we have to gain the knowledge of the scriptures. Puja Gurudev used to, he gave the motto for Yuva Kendra: harnessing youth potential through dynamic spirituality. This is the motto given. So, Yuva Kendra, especially in Chinmaya Mission, if you see, not only that we are given the right knowledge of the scriptures, we are also given a platform where we can practice it, where we can be dynamically spiritual through selfless service, seva, etc. In Yuva Kendra, in my own example, if I take, I got a lot of opportunity to do seva under the guidance of senior mission members, elderly sevaks, acharya, swamis, brahmacharis, etc. This is very important. Not only that you get the knowledge, you also get a field to do seva. So we used to go, door to door pamphlet distribution. When some yajna used to come, we used to do all this. Posters we used to tie on the pole. One fellow would drive the motorbike, I would sit behind, then we would go lane to lane, tying posters, etc. Then we used to go and set up bookstalls, set up the stage. Sometimes Swamiji would go for some Vedic chanting and bhajan to some house. We would join them, get good food also. That is also, another very important attraction. Good food you get. So in this way, constantly in the company of all these wise people, noble people, generally I would come back home tired and exhausted. But that exhaustion was also a fulfilling exhaustion, because whenever you do selfless service, there is an inexplicable joy which wells up in the heart. So I would come back home, but physically tired, but fulfillingly tired and exhausted. I did not know what that was. But today, when I look back, I knew that somewhere the purification of mind was happening through all such selfless service. So this was a vision given by Gurudev. Not only we were given knowledge at a very young age, we were also given a platform to do selfless seva of the society and thus attain purity of mind, which is very, very essential in gaining the right knowledge of the scriptures.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was a wonderful insight, energy and ability, and the opportunity to serve.
Yes.
That was the main message for Yuva Kendra that Gurudev has given us. Thank you for highlighting that for us, Swamiji. On that note, Swamiji, I have one follow-up question. When we get to work with Swamiji's and Swamiji has gotten the sanidhya of so many other teachers, one teaching we get is from lectures and discourses, but also there are many moments of teaching outside when we spend time with them. So are there some anecdotes or some other thing that Swamiji can share with us that Swamiji has gotten to learn from Swamiji's teachers?
See, in our scriptures, satsanga is given a lot of importance. Association with the wise people, Mahatmas. Many times what happens is we learn so many things without even knowing that we are learning. For example, all this in the scriptures, we see the characteristics of a Mahatma. But unless you see a live demonstration of these virtues, it actually doesn't enter. It is just a textbook definition. So when we live with Mahatmas, what we find is in their personality, in the way they behave, in the way they carry themselves, in the way they handle situations, in the way they handle different people. There are so many things to learn. You see all these virtues very clearly reflected in all their, day-to-day transactions. Contentment, control over the senses, purity of mind, clarity in thinking. All these things we see in their transaction. So it is very important that we spend some time in the company of such Mahatmas. I was indeed fortunate that I got wonderful opportunities to spend time with so many Mahatmas in Chinmaya Mission. For example, 2 years we studied under Puja Guruji. See, there were times when Guruji would describe the glory of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanji, his voice would become choked with emotion, with devotion. In those silent few moments, he taught so many things without uttering any word. And those moments are always treasured moments for us. How much we should love our teacher, our Guru. Puja Guruji just demonstrated it, not with words, but by living it. In the same way, there are in all Mahatmas, with Puja Swami Brahmananji. I had the opportunity of being with Puja Swamiji almost for 20 years. Swamiji was extremely disciplined. For example, on his table, you will not even find one book misplaced. You will not find one trash paper. You will not find even one speck of dust. The books are beautifully arranged in a corner. Even the pen would be straight, you know, parallel to the edges of the table. The table would be so clean. Not only the table, everything, little thing. Even when a leaf falls down, Swamiji would pick up that leaf and put it aside. Even every little thing, Swamiji would pay attention to. Even when Swamiji organizes a yajna of an ordinary brahmachari like me, Swamiji would give details to everything. How the stage should be set up, how the program should function, the flow of events. Everything Swamiji would sit and plan. After this event, this. After this. After this. After the whole discussion, there won't be any doubt at all as to how the program should flow. So, like that, there are so many moments we just learn by sitting with them. Yadyat acharati shrestah tattat eva itarah janah sayat pramanam kurute lokah tat anuvartate. Bhagavad Gita says, whatever the great people demonstrate through their lives, that is what people will follow. Not what they talk, but what they demonstrate. So, in this way, it is very important that for some time we live in the company of Mahatmas.
Thank you, Swamiji. Teaching in silence was such a powerful message that Swamiji gave. Swamiji, we are so blessed that Swamiji is here with us in the US. And I just don't know how to describe it, but we all feel that in our heart for Swamiji. Swamiji has also taught several youngsters in India. And now Swamiji is teaching youngsters over here, including other age groups also. Does Swamiji see any difference between teaching in India versus teaching here? Has Swamiji's approach changed in terms of teaching young adults? If yes, what has changed? If not, then what does Swamiji emphasize mainly while teaching young adults?
See, as far as the human problem is concerned, it is the same everywhere, whether East or West, whether India or America. The problem is the same. The problem of the ego, the problem of jealousy, greed, lust, hatred, the problem of indiscipline, the problem of lack of control over the mind. So the problem is the same everywhere. And since the problem is the same everywhere, the solution is also the same. And what is the solution? The solution of the scriptures. How to handle these problems. No doubt, compared to India, in the US, we find more importance given to materialism. That we can very clearly see. But the solution is the same. Turning towards spirituality is the solution. And this alone is the solution. There is no other solution. So therefore, as far as the teaching is concerned, my teaching has always remained the same, whether in India or US. It is the same. In Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful episode. There's this episode of Prahlada. So it is said there in that story of Prahlada that in the Gurukula, Prahlada's gurus were Shanda and Amarka. They were the sons of Shukracharya, guru of Asuras. So it is said there that in that Gurukula, only materialistic education was given. Dharma, Artha, Kama. There was no topic called moksha at all. Even the dharma was given only to, bring more and more materialistic prosperity. So it's very clearly written there that the entire education was focused on materialism. So when we See, today's world, we clearly find that the education is the same. There is no spiritual education at all. It's all material education. It is all bread winning education. So there a beautiful episode comes. There is this time when these gurus, they go out for some work or something. So immediately Prahalada calls all the Asura Balakas, the Asura children who were studying with them. And then he says, see, the real teaching is this. This is the most important thing. And then he started giving spiritual education. And the essence of spiritual education was cultivating devotion for God. This was the one thing which Prahlada focuses. Because if you have devotion for God, rest, everything will fall in place. So therefore, the message which I have to give also is the same. Once you have devotion for God, then all our problems in life, we find a perfect solution. So one solution for all problems. So therefore, as far as my teaching is concerned, it has not changed at all because the problems are same everywhere.
Thank you, Swamiji, for elaborating on that. Swamiji, these questions generally come up in most of the Yuva Kendra satsangs, which I'm going to ask now. And we are eagerly looking forward to hearing Swamiji. One of it is around developing a good routine. There are many people who say creativity comes when you just go with the flow. We don't need a routine and other things. Just however the mind wants, if we keep flowing with it, then we are creative. Whereas our spiritual teachers, in spirituality, they say one should have a disciplined routine. The time we wake up, the time we do our prayers, all other things in the day should be very well planned. So, what is the importance of a spiritual routine and how should one build one? Either spiritual routine or just in general, a good daily routine.
See, I am not totally against the concept of going with the flow. There are times when you have to go with the flow. Going with the flow means what? Going with the flow means doing your swadharma. See, the name itself says swadharma, that which is natural to you, that which you are naturally inclined. That is called as swadharma. So, when choosing a profession, if a person's natural tendency is to study engineering, there is a natural liking to study physics, maths, etc., then he must choose that. That is called as going with the flow. We should never flow. We should never take the path based on how much money I'm going to get in this profession, based on peer pressure, etc. Then that person will be disappointed. So, in this sense, going with the flow means what is my natural tendency, I must know. If arts and music, that is my natural tendency, then I must choose that path. If medicine is my natural tendency, that should be my path. In nature, also, if you see, a fish is always underwater because that is the right place for it. A fish should never try to compare and compete with a monkey. Monkey's right place is not in water, its right place is on the tree. And going with the flow means what? That monkey has been given the ability to climb the tree, jump from one branch to another. That ability comes naturally. That is called going with the flow. An earthworm, it is not supposed to be outside earth, it should be inside earth, under earth. So every being, if you see, they just go with the flow. Going with the flow means what? Whatever is my natural tendency, I must act accordingly, provided that natural tendency is productive and constructive. That is very important. Especially while choosing in the profession, going with the flow is the right one. Because in profession, not only that you are productive for the world, when you are in a profession which is according to your likes, there is a sense of fulfillment also. So both ways it is beneficial. Now, going with the flow has a what you call wrong connotation also. Suppose there is a chain smoker. What will be his flow? His flow will be after some time take another cigarette and smoke. That will be his natural inclination. Yes or no? So this going with the flow, you have to be very careful, because generally the flow is always towards low. You see water flowing from the top of a mountain. Where is it going? It is going downward. So any flow which is taking me downward should never be accepted. So this point also has to be kept in mind. So we'll have to decide, as far as the inclinations are concerned, if it is good for me and good for the world, nothing wrong in going with the flow. But even when we are going with the flow, a routine, a daily routine is very, very essential. Why is it essential? You see, any habit is formed by repeated performance of that act. Any habit. All our misery is because of wrong thinking. So the solution to all problems is right thinking. We should make right thinking a habit. How can you make right thinking a habit? By doing it regularly. There should be a time when we exclusively give for that act, and when we repeatedly do it, then that becomes natural to us. This is where daily routine comes into picture. Every day you are doing it, regularly you are doing it, and slowly, that doing becomes a habit. Getting up early in the morning, every day you do, that becomes a habit. That becomes a habit means what? Suppose you make it a habit or regularly get up at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you automatically get up. The body clock wakes you up. You have no problem in getting up at 5 o'clock. Every day you make it a habit. And slowly, a time comes when all good things becomes natural to you. Whether it is getting up early in the morning, whether it is your spiritual practice, whether it is right thinking, right behaving, right speech, all this, when you regularly do it on a routine, with a daily routine, then you find that this becomes a habit. And anything which becomes a habit becomes natural to us, becomes effortless in us, becomes spontaneous in us. In the beginning, no doubt it is difficult. It is said, Agre Vishamiva Pariname Amrutopamam. If you want to cultivate a daily routine, in the beginning it is poisonous, meaning it is very painful, it is very difficult. But once you have cultivated that routine, then Pariname it is Amrutam, nectarian. So therefore, flowing with the flow, yes, as long as it is good for you and good for the world, nothing wrong with flowing, going with the flow. But even in going with the flow also, daily routine, strict daily routine will definitely help us a lot.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was a comprehensive perspective. Swamiji, one follow-up question on that one. When we have to work with our mind, at times we have to be strict, and at times we have to be lenient. So how do you find that balance between not too loose, not too tight, just right?
See, both are necessary. If your disciplining, if your discipline is making you discouraged, then you have to be lenient. If you're pampering the mind, is crossing the limits, then you have to discipline the mind. You know, sometimes you have to take a motherly role, sometimes you have to take a fatherly role while dealing with the mind. Mother is an embodiment of compassion, love, forgiveness. Father is an embodiment of strictness and discipline. So both are necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. Swamiji, I'll go to the YEP related questions first and then again come back if we have more time. Swamiji, this youth empowerment program is coming up and it's for 6 weeks. If Swamiji can just highlight the importance of YEP and how it is different from our regular camps that we conduct.
See, in this youth empowerment program, we are handling only the youth. And when we handle the youth, we expect more from them. We tighten the nuts and bolts a little more strongly compared to other camps. In the other camps, generally elderly people come. So we are little lenient with respect to them. Too much of discipline, we don't emphasize. Whereas here, the emphasis is upon discipline. And you will find that the whole day is packed with activities and mainly classes. Almost 3 to 4 classes you have to attend every day. So this is disciplining at the thought level. As I said earlier, all our misery is because of wrong thinking. So the solution to all our misery is right thinking. So in this YEP course, what will happen is you will be forced to think right. You are helpless. And because of this right thinking, what happens is there is a discipline in thinking, there is a discipline in sleep, there is discipline in eating. When our entire life becomes totally disciplined, there is a special joy born out of discipline. It is called as a Saatvic joy. See, there is a joy of indulgence that is called as Rajasic joy. And there is a joy of discipline. It is called a Saatvic joy. Now, which joy is higher, Rajasic joy or a Saatvic joy? Saatvic joy is always higher. So in this YEP course, 1.5 months, when you're exposed to this joy of discipline, the Saatvic joy, the higher joy, once you get a taste of this higher joy, and when you go back home, always there is a tendency to again slip back. You will be miserable. Once you go back home and slip back to your old habits, you will be miserable. Why? Because now you have tasted something higher. You cannot be satisfied with the lower. You will be miserable. And that misery is a great blessing in disguise, because that misery will make you put forth effort to regain that lost Sattvic joy. And thus, your life will be completely transformed. You see, a person who has gained only, say, 10 units of happiness, for him, 100 units of happiness is great. A person who has gained 1,000 units of happiness, for him, 100 units of happiness is pain. You see, a 10 unit person considers 100 units as a great joy. For a 1,000 unit person, 100 unit is a pain. So in this YEP course, we will expose you to 100,000 units of happiness. Okay. This is the joy called Sattvic joy, the joy born out of discipline, the joy born out of right thinking, the joy born out of right living, joy born out of right habits, joy born out of right daily strict routine. This is a much higher joy, much fulfilling joy. Our job is only to expose you to this higher joy and leave you. After that, you decide whether you are ready to pay the higher price to gain this joy, or you want to slip down and go back to your old ways. So the purpose of YEP is only this. Youth Empowerment Program is this, to expose you to the higher joys of life.
Thank you, Swamiji. That's a very interesting way to put it. That misery also can be good for us if it helps us be a better person. Thank you,
Yes.
Swamiji. There are 5 Swamins who are coming to the Youth Empowerment Program, and we are so blessed. Swamiji is one of the faculty for the Youth Empowerment Program. If Swamiji can throw some light on the text that Swamiji will be covering, which is meditation technique and Mukundamala.
So meditation techniques, that is meant for the head. And Mukundamala is a devotional text. It is meant for the heart. So both head and the heart must cooperate in order to have spiritual progress. So clarity with respect to head, purity with respect to heart, both are essential. At the mind level, we must have noble emotions of devotion. At the intellect level, we must have clarity in thinking based on our scriptures. So that is why these two topics have been taken. Morning, we'll be dealing with our intellect, with our head, with right thinking, right meditation. Evenings, we will devote that time for developing devotion for God. So in this way, both our personalities are taken care. As far as physical personality is concerned, there are other sessions. So we are not talking of physical, we are only talking of emotional and intellectual personalities.
Thank you, Swamiji. At this point, I'd just like to pause and first ask Swamiji if Swamiji is okay staying a few more minutes.
Yes.
Because we had until 6, but we started 15 minutes late. So we
Correct.
want most of Swamiji's time also. And I hope everybody else is okay staying a few minutes longer. So at this point, I'd like to open up for questions. If anybody has any questions, please do type it in. If you want it to be anonymous, I can ask on behalf of all of you. Or if you want to raise your hand and just ask Swamiji informally, that's fine too. Yes, Rahul.
Thank you so much for the session, and thank you, Swamiji, for conducting it. One question I had for Swamiji is, Swamiji spoke on making right thinking a habit to end wrong thinking, which is the source of all of our miseries. What are some examples of right thinking, and how would one build those examples of right thinking into habits?
I'll give an example of what is right thinking and wrong thinking. Okay. It's a very famous story. So once a professor wanted to discourage the youngsters from, consuming alcohol. So what does he do? He takes one glass of this alcohol, a rum, and in front of all these youngsters, he puts a worm in it. A worm, a living worm. And as they were just watching this, that worm just got dissolved in it. So then this professor asked others, what have you learned from this demonstration? So one youngster got up and said, sir, if you drink, all your worms in the stomachs will die. The professor wanted to teach that if you drink, your entire, what you call, liver or whatever, it will be damaged. That's what he wanted to convey the message. You see, the event is the same, but two different people are extracting two different messages. In fact, opposing conclusion. So therefore, in the same way, we are all going through this experience called life. But are these experiences making us wise or otherwise? You see, just because a person has gone through experience doesn't mean that he'll become wise. No, not necessary. The most important question is, through these experiences, what is the lesson which he is learning from? Many times bitter experiences make a person bitter, not better. That person said, what has this world given me? It has only given me pain, etc., etc. You see? Whereas another person, very same bitter experience, but he gains a right lesson and he becomes wise. He becomes a great devotee of Lord. If you see the devotees of Lord, they had gone through so much of pains and sufferings in life, but every pain, it became a stepping stone for success for them. And finally, they became great devotees of Lord. You see? So here comes the importance of right thinking, right analysis. Experience is there, but how do you analyze your experience? That is very important. This right analysis is what the scriptures give us. Did I answer, Rahul?
Thank you, Swamiji. Swamiji, there are many questions in the chat, if I can just ask them. One of the question is, many young adults don't connect with the traditional practices of devotion like worship and chanting. Is there some alternative devotional practice that can be done while juggling several roles in life?
You see, what is the most important thing in devotional practices? The most important thing is not practices. The most important thing is devotion. Many times you are going through a traditional practice, but there is no devotion. Everything is mechanical. People do puja, they do everything, but there is no devotion. Their personality is bitter. The words are very hurtful. So the most important thing is, whatever be the practice you are following, the question is devotion for God increasing or not? Is your love for God increasing or not? We are not interested in what practice you do, how much japa you do, how much puja you do. No, whether it is traditional or modern, that is not the question. The question is, are you growing in love for God or not? If your love for God is growing, any practice is acceptable. You may not be doing these traditional rituals, not necessary. You may be just sitting in silence. Or you may be just with Mother Nature. You may not be able to chant Sanskrit verses. No problem, it doesn't matter. But are you feeling a connect with your Creator? Is the mind becoming peaceful? Are you feeling a feeling of love for your Creator? If these things are happening, know for sure that you are growing spiritually. That's all what is needed. What is important is not the pointer. What is important is the pointed. It doesn't matter which pointer you use. You may use any pointer. But the purpose of pointer is not to get stuck in the pointer. The purpose of pointer is to take us to the pointed. Isn't it? So the purpose is to develop devotion. Any practice which develop devotion, whether it is traditional or whether it doesn't matter. If you're growing in love for God, that practice is the best thing that you have to do.
Thank you, Swamiji. The next question is, what is a typical daily routine along with sadhanas we should follow that Swamiji recommends for youth?
What is the daily routine? See, actually, this daily routine will depend from person to person. You will have to do trial and error methods. There can be some suggestions saying that, early morning getting up is good. Yes, it is generally good for everyone. But if you're working in night shift, etc., then I will never suggest this. Morning time is very good because it is called as Brahma Muhurta. And you will always find that any sadhana becomes more fulfilling when you're doing in these early hours. Exactly like after lunch, when you are feeling sleepy, will you feel like listening to a Bhagavad Gita talk? So just like you are repelled, especially the afternoon time in spiritual practices, just like you have that, just like the mind doesn't cooperate There are times when the mind just doesn't cooperate with you in all spiritual practices. In the same way, there are times when mind fully cooperates with all spiritual practices. And one such time is the morning time, the early morning times. So make the best use of it by getting up early in the morning. The second thing which I would suggest is, you see, in every situation, we have to make a decision. Now, intellect is the faculty in us which decides based on what is right and wrong. Mind is the faculty in us which decides based on what I like and what I dislike. So the intellect says, this is right, this is wrong. This is right, therefore do this. This is wrong, let us not do this. That is what the intellect will say. Mind will say, this is what I like, let us do this. This is what I don't like, let us not do this. So whom should we listen? Mind or the intellect? Intellect take decision based on right and wrong. Mind take decision based on likes and dislikes. So in life, always take decision based on the intellect, based on what is right and what is wrong. Then what will happen? Intellect will start growing, mind will start becoming weak, intellect starts growing stronger, and such a bright and brilliant intellect will be able to clearly see in every situation what is right and what is wrong. All the gray area starts disappearing, everything becomes black and white. Then decision making becomes very easy. And a time comes when intellect and mind becomes one. Meaning what? Whatever is right, I love doing it. Whatever is wrong, I hate doing it. That is called as integration of personality. Mind and intellect becoming one. But on the other hand, suppose we only listen to our mind. Whatever I like, I will do. Whatever I don't like, I will not do. Irrespective of whether it is right and wrong. Then what will happen? Mind becomes stronger, intellect becomes weaker. All these chain smokers, drug addicts, drunkards, they are all the examples of people who have listened to their vicious, lower temptations of the mind. So this is another spiritual practice which you have to do. It should be a daily routine. Again and again, keep introspecting. Whenever you are going to make a decision, always see to it that your mind is peaceful. A disturbed mind will cheat you. A peaceful mind will guide you. Because when the mind is peaceful, you are in tune with your creator, with God, and such a peaceful mind will always show you the right path. A disturbed mind will cheat you. So never listen to a disturbed mind. Always take major decision when the mind is at peace. If these things are done, you are safe.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was very insightful of how not to struggle with the mind, but rather to make intellect more stronger. Thank you, Swamiji, for highlighting. Swamiji, there are two more questions. I'll try to club them together. That way Swamiji can address both of them together. First one is, a person keeps on doing his or her job on a day-to-day basis and is living a mechanical life. At the same time, they realize that they're not achieving anything in their life and are unhappy as well. This person is trying to find a solution. So what would you recommend to such a person? And the second question that goes along with that, asked by a different sadhaka, is, how do we know what we are needed to do in life?
See, always remember this. Whenever the mind is disturbed, you are wrong somewhere. It's a Maha Mantra of life. If I am disturbed, I am wrong. Because how do we experience disturbance? We experience disturbance as a pain in the heart, isn't it? So in the physical body also it is true, especially when we do yoga and all that. They say that if there is some pain in the body, understand that you are not doing that yoga posture rightly. The pain is an indication that somewhere something is wrong. In the body, whenever there is pain, then immediately we consult a doctor because something is wrong. What is the proof that you have a healthy body? You are not even feeling that there is a body, then you are healthy, isn't it? In the same way, what is a sign that you have a healthy mind? When you are not even feeling that there is a mind, because it's a light mind, pure mind, cheerful mind, joyful mind, then that means your mind is healthy. If there is some kind of unhappiness, if there is some kind of disturbance, understand, disturbance is the medium through which God is communicating with us. Every disturbance is an indication God is talking to us. Our Creator is talking to us. What does God say? Oh, my dear child, you are going wrong. Your thinking is wrong. Correct your path. This is the meaning of disturbance. So whenever there is mind disturbance in the mind, look within, introspect. You will always find that disturbance is connected to some kind of, thinking also. The disturbance of jealousy is very different from disturbance of hatred. That is very different from, disturbance of lust. So there are different kinds of disturbances. These varieties are given so that we will know where we are going wrong. So pay attention to disturbance. Disturbance is an effect. Thinking is the cause, because thoughts and the state of mind, they are related. The law is, as your thoughts, so will be the state of your mind. So if the mind is disturbed, somewhere my thinking is disturbed, pay attention to what kind of thinking is going through the mind, what kind of thoughts I am entertaining. So when you analyze the nature of the thoughts, you will come to know where we are going wrong. Right? Entry into the problem itself is the exit from the problem. This is the way.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was very insightful. Appreciate Swamiji taking all the questions and also spending time with us for this particular session. I just wanted to let everyone know this 1 hour session, we enjoyed so much, learned so much with Swamiji. Just imagine if you multiplied 70 times. That is what we'll get in YEP. 7 days we'll get to spend with Swamiji and all other teachers who are visiting. So I hope those who are considering for this program, you all sincerely consider and take a decision. May 8th is the deadline for applying for YEP. So hope to see many of you there at the program. Once again, Swamiji, pranams and thank you on behalf of all the attendees. Thank you, Swamiji. Before we conclude, Nikhil, is there any announcement that you would like to make?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Swamiji, again for taking out the time. And thank you, Swamiji, for moderating this event as well. And thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. One announcement, a very important announcement that I would like to make is we have the Gurudev Jayanti celebration coming up. And as part of the Chik West Satsang series, we have a special talk by Gurudev on May 6th. It is a Monday. Usually we have these events on a Sunday, but this one is particularly on a Monday. I would request each and every one of you to please join in. It's a 20-minute talk followed by a Guru Paduka Puja that we'll be performing. And our sankalpa is to have at least 108 chicks, but more the merrier. So please join in. And at the same time, if you're still on the edge to think about YEP, and if you're thinking about YEP, I'm sure this talk by Swami Aparajitanandaji and the last talk by Shantananji would have moved the needle in a particular direction, and we hope it is in the direction of joining the program. Rahul has added the details for the YEP program in the chat. You can also go to the Chick West website and find all the details there as well. With that, we conclude today's talk and look forward to seeing you all again in full attendance on May 6th. Thank you and Hari.
Thank you, Nikhil. Swamiji, any concluding thought before we do closing prayers?
That's all.
Thank you, Swamiji. At CMSJ, we are eagerly looking forward to receiving Swamiji tomorrow and for the Yajna. So those who are from the Bay Area, Swamiji is here from May 1st through May 5th at Berkeley for a Yajna on 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. If you enjoyed today's talk, please do stop by to listen to Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om, everyone. We'll do the concluding prayer.
Yes.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Hari Om Hari Om